My daughter spent 18 months planning the perfect wedding. She dreamed about walking down the aisle, saying her vows, and starting a beautiful new chapter of her life. Neither of us imagined that her fiancé would publicly humiliate me in front of hundreds of guests. When he smashed my face into the wedding cake and called me a beggar, the entire room laughed. 30 seconds later, one guest revealed a secret that turned every smile into shock and changed the course of the wedding forever. Being a father had always been the most important role in my life. Long before I became successful, before the businesses, investments, and recognition, I was simply a hard-working dad trying to give his daughter a better future than the one I had. My daughter Emma lost her mother when she was young, so the two of us became inseparable. Every milestone in her life felt like my own victory. I attended every school event, every graduation, every achievement. No matter how busy business became, she always came first. Success eventually arrived, but I never allowed money to change me. I continued wearing simple clothes, driving modest vehicles, and living quietly. Most people who met me had no idea how much I was worth, and that was exactly how I preferred it. Emma respected that choice and never discussed our financial situation with friends or romantic partners. She believed people should be judged by their character rather than their bank accounts. When Emma introduced me to her fiancé Ryan, I welcomed him warmly. At first he seemed charming and ambitious. However, over time I noticed something troubling. Ryan constantly measured people by status and wealth. He admired expensive watches, luxury cars, and influential connections. Whenever he met someone successful, he treated them like royalty. When he met someone ordinary, his attitude changed completely. I hoped maturity would eventually correct that flaw, but deep down I worried. As the wedding day approached, Ryan became increasingly obsessed with appearances. He wanted the most expensive decorations, the most impressive venue, and the most prestigious guest list. Since I kept my success private, he assumed I was merely an aging father living on retirement savings. His subtle disrespect toward me grew more obvious with every passing month. For Emma's sake, I remained patient and focused on supporting her happiness. The wedding day arrived beautifully. The ballroom sparkled beneath elegant chandeliers, and hundreds of guests filled the venue. Many attendees were business leaders, investors, and executives who knew me professionally but respected my desire for privacy. Most of them never mentioned our relationship publicly. Emma looked radiant as she celebrated with friends and family. Seeing her smile made every sacrifice of my life worthwhile. Then came the cake ceremony. As photographers surrounded the couple, Ryan suddenly walked toward me with a grin that immediately felt wrong. Before I could react, he wrapped an arm around my shoulder as if preparing for a friendly photograph. Instead, he grabbed the back of my head and violently shoved my face into the wedding cake. Cream covered my face, frosting dripped down my suit. The room erupted with laughter. Ryan pointed directly at me and shouted, "Try some dessert, beggar. It is probably the most expensive thing you have ever tasted." My daughter immediately stopped smiling. The laughter faded as people realized Emma was horrified. I slowly wiped frosting from my eyes and stood up. Years of business had taught me that the strongest response to humiliation is often silence. I looked around the room and noticed several guests exchanging uncomfortable glances. Then everything changed. A respected businessman near the front table suddenly stood up and pointed at me. His voice echoed throughout the ballroom. "Are you insane? Do you even know who that man is?" The room became completely silent. Ryan laughed nervously. The businessman continued, "That man built one of the largest real estate companies in the country. He owns half the buildings you drove past to get here." Another guest stood up, then another, then another. Within seconds, multiple influential guests began revealing pieces of my background. Some spoke about projects worth hundreds of millions. Others mentioned charitable foundations I funded quietly for years. One executive even pulled out a magazine featuring me on its cover. The color drained from Ryan's face. His confident smile disappeared. His hands began shaking. Emma looked between us in disbelief. She knew I was successful, but she never imagined the truth would emerge this way. The guests who had laughed moments earlier now looked embarrassed. Several people avoided eye contact entirely. Ryan desperately attempted to explain himself. He claimed it was only a joke and that everyone was overreacting. Unfortunately for him, the damage was done. Every person in that room had witnessed exactly how he treated someone he believed had no money and no influence. For the first time all day, Emma spoke. Her voice trembled with emotion. She asked a simple question. "If my father really had been poor, would what you did have been acceptable?" Ryan could not answer. The silence that followed felt endless. Emma removed her wedding ring. Tears filled her eyes as she handed it back. She explained that the problem was not the humiliation itself. The problem was the cruelty behind it. She could not marry someone who measured human worth by wealth and status. Ryan begged. He apologized. He promised to change. But the truth had already revealed itself. Security escorted him from the venue while hundreds of guests watched in silence. As the doors closed behind him, Emma walked directly toward me and wrapped her arms around my shoulders. Neither of us spoke. We did not need to. At that moment, the father-daughter bond we had built over a lifetime mattered more than any wedding ever could. Months later, Emma thanked me for teaching her the value of character. She eventually met someone who treated every person with dignity and respect regardless of their social status. Watching her find genuine happiness reminded me of something important. Money can open doors, power can create opportunities, but character determines who deserves to walk through them. Ryan lost the woman he loved because he revealed who he truly was. He believed humiliating a poor old father would make him look powerful. Instead, he exposed the weakness hiding behind his arrogance. The last thing Ryan saw before leaving was my daughter standing beside me instead of beside him. He thought money determined a person's value. That day he learned a lesson worth more than any fortune. A wealthy heart will always be worth more than a wealthy bank account.